Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Mind Muscle Connection podcast. Today is a Q&A episode. I have 3 questions I want to dive into. But first, before I dive into that, if you are interested in losing body fat, building muscle, having a body recomp, but also making sure that your health stays in check during that, then my free body recomp checklist is for you. I dive into what body recomp is, different types of body recomp, and my favorite training splits, as well as 10 things that you need to do for that goal. So if you're interested in that, the link to that is in the show notes. Let me know if you have any questions on it. Enjoy, and let's dive into the episode. First question of the day is going to be around fasted cardio. So it's any benefit to keeping fasted cardio in during a reverse diet before lifting. So let's break this down. Okay, so somebody's in a reverse diet. What are we trying to get out of the reverse diet? And what do I think of when I hear reverse diet? I'm thinking that this person is coming off of a fat loss phase or they're trying to get to their maintenance calories. To me, it's a body composition thing of adding muscle, right? That ends up being our main goal here. So we're not trying to elicit fat loss in this process. Okay. So our goal is to prioritize lean body mass, right? And making sure that you're not in a energy deficit. And then now let's break down fasted cardio. Fasted cardio essentially is going to where you obviously go into your training, not fueled. People think there is some magic to that. And again, in the research from a fat loss perspective and body comp perspective, there's nothing that from what I know that is going to be superior from a fat loss perspective. Now, the only time this could potentially be the case is if you already are fairly lean. Okay. And this is where you could potentially use it there to help with that. But this is at very lean levels where you would potentially see that. Okay. So that would be like the one time that you would do it from a fat loss perspective. I had Christy Sturschuk on the podcast. This will be out in a couple weeks. I think April 30th is when it will end up coming out. And we chatted. Her research is around fasted exercise. And she basically what she had said in it was there may be some potential benefits, but more research is needed. And she essentially just said individuals should not force themselves to exercise fasted if uncomfortable. And she's doing the actual research on this. So there may be some potential benefits. From my understanding, though, it wasn't necessarily fat loss type thing. That was more so like a performance and overall health thing that we got some benefits from fasted exercise. Now, on top of this, I feel like people also overly focus on like fasted exercise in general, right? Like my thought on this has gone back and forth. I was like, oh, hey, you shouldn't do any fasted whatsoever. And as I think about it more and more, it's like for a lot of people, we eat enough in previous days, whatever it may be, to where you have plenty of energy in your body laying around that from like the day before or something like that. Or again, just stored energy in terms of body fat to where you're probably not going to see, I don't think it's as bad as what people make it out to be. I think we end up getting to the point to where we like feel like our bodies are super fragile and that's just, you don't want to do that. It's going to be terrible. It's going to increase cortisol or whatever it may be. And you're going to gain body fat now because you're doing this. And again, I also don't think that's the case. I think that is overblown in terms of going into it, not fueled. Same thing with weight training, right? I think the meal timing around weight training, if you find that you feel okay and that's like the only time you can work out, like I wouldn't overly stress about not eating right before, because again, our body isn't going to be like, hey, so-and-so hasn't eaten right before, now we don't have any energy available. Again, your body doesn't work on that. It's obviously going to utilize energy from previous days and everything like that. Okay. So again, there are certain situations where maybe we would want to use it, maybe we wouldn't, but at the end of the day, I think one, we need to understand that there's not going to be any magical fat loss benefit to it. There could potentially be some performance I don't want to necessarily say performance, but some health, some unique kind of potential benefits of doing fasted training potentially, right? But nothing that's going to be like, holy crap, like you need to do it. And again, you shouldn't necessarily go out of your way to do it. There's not going to be anything super magical with it there, right? So again, I think at the end of the day, it really just comes down to your preference. And if you want to do, that's like the only time you can get it in. Now, let's talk about in the context of what this person's doing, where they're reverse dieting, again, trying to get to I'm assuming their maintenance calories. Obviously, muscle is going to be important here in this process. Is there any benefit to it? No. To me, there wouldn't be any benefit. And if anything, I think with what your goal is and also doing it before your lift, that's where I would say it's probably not going to be the greatest there if you're doing it fasted and before your lift in this phase. And so there's not going to be any unique benefit to that during this time. Like when it comes to doing cardio and weight training, ideally we would split it up. And then if you're going to do that amount of like volume, that's where maybe having a little bit more fuel in your system is going to be beneficial. So in this particular context of fasted cardio in a reverse diet before lifting, I would say I wouldn't do that. If it's another day, let's say you lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on Tuesday, Thursday, you want to go in and do fasted cardio. Again, just understand there may be some potential benefits of that, but more research is needed. and it's probably not going to be anything that's going to be crazy. And so if that's the case, you could, and that's the only time you can get in your cardio, then you could do it on, say, Tuesday or Thursday, right? But I wouldn't do it on the days that you're lifting, because I do think that will probably impact your weight training sessions if you go that route, if you do fasted cardio and then do your weight training. And again, we're not like, that should be our goal in a reverse diet, and to try and add some lean body mass. And that's not going to put you in a good position to do that. So I would say in that specific context, I would not have somebody do fasted cardio before their lifting. Now, again, if we take everything into consideration here, and that's the only time you can do your cardio, and you are somewhat interested in cardiovascular training and improving that alongside strength training, maybe you could utilize like some EAAs or something like that to help offset some of that. But at the end of the day, I would not be something that I would go out of my way to do. And at the end of the day, if you do train fasted, ideally we're getting in protein as soon as we can after that training. So meal timing would be more important there from that perspective. I don't think, again, we don't need to go out of our way to do this, but I also don't think we need to absolutely be like, holy crap, all fasted training is absolutely terrible, we shouldn't do it. I think there's some middle ground to it. And again, depending on what this research says, could there be some potential benefit of training? Again, probably outside, like it probably wouldn't be a fat loss thing, right? It would be more from like a overall health like perspective, like maybe a mitochondrial health perspective, something along those lines where you could potentially see some extra benefit of that, right? That's kind of the line of thinking there with that. It's not going to be like, oh, you're going to see this magical like fat loss from it. Again, this is just my understanding. We'll obviously find out. You can listen to the episode and we'll have more research come out. But again, that was my understanding of it, was like, okay, from a fat loss perspective, no, but from again, like a mitochondrial health perspective, which in turn, if you can improve your mitochondrial health, that's going to have downstream effects of, again, you're just going to feel better. You're just going to be in better health in general. There could be some benefit there. So we need to, but as Christy says, we don't want to go out of our way with that. All right. I feel like I beat that with the dead horse there. All right. So for my lifting, can I split up my workout if I can't get it all in? And yes, 100%. So if you have a day where you need to split up your weight training, so you do, or you're busy, or you work from home and you have a home gym or something like that, and hey, something comes up, you can only get 20 minutes in, you could do 20 minutes now, you could do 20 minutes later. I think that's a totally fine way to go about it. Or you could even do it on another day as well too, if that works better. I think too often especially when it comes to hypertrophy, we really just want to send that stimulus, that progressive overload stimulus, right? And that's, again, that mechanical tension, like, hey, we need to lift weights. Hey, we got sending that signal to tell your muscles, hey, we need to continue to at least maintain what we have, but even potentially build. And I don't think your muscles aren't going to be like, oh, hey, you split up this workout, now this isn't going to matter, or this isn't going to count. We're not going to feel the need to add more muscle because you split it up. I don't think that is not going to be the case. So you can totally split it up if need be. I probably would do it though, if you're going to do it on the same day or the day after. I would probably try to hit the same muscle groups in each session versus like splitting up your chest in the morning and then splitting up chest later, or again, doing chest one day and then doing chest again the next day. Do I think that's going to be like detrimental if you end up doing it that way? Probably not. But ideally, from how I think about it, I would try to get, again, if you have multiple exercises for a muscle group, try to get those in one session and then split it up for later on, right? For example, lately for me, I have a full body workout on Friday, and I've been pretty busy on Friday to where I'm getting in there later, and I don't want to be working out till 6 or 7 on a Friday. So I've had to split up my leg training onto Saturday, right? So I'll do my upper stuff, and then on Saturday, I'll go in and hit 2 leg exercises. And it's been super nice. It's been nice to split that up, and it's made the workouts a little bit shorter, and I can just get in and get out versus, oh crap, I got to do all these things. It's going to take me an hour 15 to do that. And now I can get my upper done in 30, 45 minutes, and then the lower in 20-ish minutes. And that's just nice to do it that way. That's not always going to work out. Some days you may not be able to work out at all. So you do just have to weigh that out. But if push comes to shove and you have to do this, it allows you to get everything in. To me, that's more important, right? Because what you do throughout the week is going to be more important than, oh, hey, you have this all in one workout. You need to do that here and now. So those would be things that I would do to work around that. Those are really the main things. But again, this gives us some flexibility. And the more I learn about muscle growth and training for muscle growth, we really do have some, yes, there's principles, right? Like we need to progressively overload. We need the training to be hard enough. But from there, it's like we really can be flexible based on what's going on, and finding what works for you, what fits your schedule, I think is the most important there. So again, anytime somebody says, hey, you need to do it this way, or again, when it comes to hypertrophy, I think we have pretty good amount of more flexibility than we think, and we don't have to like put too much pressure on that. Okay. And then so for the last question of the day, this wasn't really a question. This was something that was brought up in my community platform. And it was basically like something along the lines of, okay, so somebody hadn't been able to work out for a couple of weeks. They had some elbow issues and they decided to take a complete break from everything, which I don't fully agree with. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. If you're having elbow issues, okay, hey, we still should do some cardio. We should still do some lower body and still, yes, we want to fix that problem that's going on, but we also should not just stop doing things. And again, that's a big mistake I see people make when there is an injury. Yes, we want to train around it. We do want to go to the, okay, we want to fix that. But in terms of taking a complete break from everything else, I think that's a big mistake just because, again, exercise is just super important for our mental health, for body composition. It's great for appetite regulation, right? There's just a lot of benefits of exercise that go beyond progressing and building muscle. Like that's part of it, right? And so that's just a big mistake I see people make when they get injured is now they don't do anything. And again, we still need to do something. So that's the first thing. Now, the one good thing he did do was he continued to get steps in, which I think is great. And that's going to make up for some of that. But I still would like to see some more intensity. I would still like to see some more, again, at least lower body training. And what's that going to do? It's going to help partition the food that you give your body, right? Like your movement and exercise is a glucose sinks. And if you're not moving, everything's just going to get backed up, right? And so there's that. And then on top of it, the intensity is important. Like I do think walking is great and that's going to help and that's going to check a lot of boxes off, but we want to get some things that are a little bit more intense. And then we obviously want to provide that mechanical tension, muscle building signal to our body. And the legs too, that's a huge kind of sink there for glucose, right? And so we want to make sure we get that. So I think that's a big mistake. I would not recommend that. But anyways, so I stopped lifting for 2 weeks and my weight didn't change. And so he said this tongue in cheek, right, as a joke, but this is making me wonder if physical activity or exercise actually burns any calories. So again, his weight didn't move and now he's thinking, and he also specifically said lifting. So this made me want to bring up what we do lifting for and what the role of it is and why weight training should not be your main fat loss tool. So again, seeing my weight remain unchanged, whether I lift or don't lift makes me skeptical whether activity really burns calories. And again, there was some sarcasm there with it, right? But I just think that it does bring up a good point. Here's the truth though. Weight training should not be and is not your fat loss driver. Okay. What is resistance training for? Like, why do we do it? I have my 5 pillars of body recomp and it's training. Okay. And within training, and that umbrella of training falls your resistance training and conditioning, right? Dedicated cardio, and each have their role, right? On what we're doing. And then we also have nutrition, right? That's another pillar of body recomp and health. Again, that's a whole big thing. There's a ton of stuff under that umbrella. And then we have movement. So again, we're also moving outside of the gym, living an active lifestyle, which he nailed there. And then we have lifestyle optimization. So this is like overall stress load on the body, managing that. This is your sleep, circadian rhythm. This is your environment, like setting all those things up. And then lastly, we have mindset / like brain health, right? Making sure that's a good spot. And your mindset towards all this is super important. I've seen a lot of people nail all 4 of the things, but then they have terrible mindset and that kind of holds them back. So we have the 5 pillars. That's what they do. And so resistance training falls under that umbrella of the training pillar, right? And so what is it for? Why is it an important part of a body recomp? And why is it within that pillar of training? And it's because one, it builds and preserves muscle. At the end of the day, you're not going to be able to build muscle, at least appreciable amounts, by just doing cardio. You're not going to be able to do that by just walking. You're not going to be able to just eat protein and build muscle. Like, you need to send that signal to your body to add muscle. And that's going to come through resistance training. Next, it's going to help you get stronger. So you're going to be stronger. You're going to be able to do more stuff outside of the gym. You're going to be able to lift more weight, which in turn is going to help you be able to build more muscle. And again, just strength in general is, the higher your strength is, it helps with long-term health, longevity. The stronger we can be as we age, your quality of life does not go down because you have that strength. And then it can help boost metabolic health. So as I talked about, muscle is a sink for glucose, right? So if we don't have that, we're missing out on that, right? It's your body's. So again, it's going to help boost metabolic health. It's going to help make more insulin sensitive. Your body's going to utilize the nutrients that you give it much better. And in turn, that's going to help you it's going to be much tougher to gain body fat the more muscle we have. And you're going to be able to maintain your body weight and not maintain your fat mass, is what I should say better. So it's going to boost your metabolic health. And again, good metabolic health is obviously going to be helpful from a long-term health perspective. And obviously all this helps shape your body. So you're going to have that shape that you want. It's not about weight. It's about your body composition, what you look like. And again, it's going to help shape there, right? But it can indirectly help with fat loss by improving your body comp and improving your metabolism, metabolic health, right? So it can indirectly help with fat loss, but lifting alone doesn't drive fat loss. And I think this is key because there was this push of, you don't need to do cardio, you just need to lift weights. That's the best fat loss tool there is. And that is true to an extent, but it's more of the indirect thing, right? Like you still have to control your caloric intake. If you want to lose body fat, you would still need to be in a calorie deficit. Lifting weights isn't going to be that thing. And if you use weight training to do that, as I'll mention here in a minute, you're getting the worst of both worlds by doing that. And so what is the real driver of fat loss, weight loss? It's going to be managing your caloric intake. Yes, we can exercise our way, we can move more, and that's going to help. But at the end of the day, we have to have some form of moderating, managing of our calorie intake. Again, exercise and movement can support that. It can help you create or increase a calorie deficit, so it can help create it. But controlling your calorie intake has to be priority number one. We have to monitor what we are putting in our body and how many calories we are consuming. Now, there's a lot more that goes into it, your diet quality, your meal timing. There's just a lot more that goes into just, hey, count your calories. But if we're going to break it down and make it simple, that we have to have some form of moderation with that. Lifting is a tool to improve your body composition, but it's not a driver of fat loss or weight change. And again, if we use it that way, we're going to be shooting ourselves in the foot, and you're just going to feel like you're spinning your wheels. If you treat lifting like cardio or for fat loss, so now we're taking this, hey, we're treating it as your cardio, because again, we can expend more energy through cardio, and that can be a way to help create a calorie deficit. So if we use weight training for that, and then we also use weight training to try and burn fat, you're going to chase sweat over strength. Okay. So you're not really going to be lifting as much as you can. You're going to miss out on the strength aspect of it. You're just going to be going for the sweat. You're going to burn out faster. That's a terrible way to train. And you're going to miss out on actual body comp change because of the way that you are training to just try to burn more calories. AKA you're working hard, but inefficiently, and you're getting the worst of both worlds, right? You're not driving fat loss by doing this. This is suboptimal cardio, conditioning training, and you're not getting the real benefits of weight training, which is the muscle plus strength. Because when we train this way, people end up staying way too far away from failure. And again, it's not a great cardiovascular conditioning stimulus either. So again, you just get the worst of both worlds there, trying to hit both of them. Plus, weight training really is not going to burn that many calories in the grand scheme of things. Again, what we're doing it for is for the long-term benefits, the indirect fat loss benefits of building muscle, not the actual calorie burn. Again, fat loss happens when you're in a consistent calorie deficit. That comes from how you're eating, how much you're moving, and managing how much stress you're putting on your body. All those things are going to be key in terms of getting yourself into a calorie deficit. Your training should build the body. It shouldn't act like a hamster wheel where you're just like training to just burn more calories. And again, you're just like a hamster on the hamster wheel. Lifting is a long-term investment in your metabolism, strength, and appearance. And again, that's the role of weight training, right? It should not and will not be your fat loss driver. If it is, you're going to struggle and you're going to get the worst of both worlds. And this is where, again, any exercise is good for your health, and you will see some body comp change. But if we want to take it to that next level and really look like you work out and have more efficient progress, I think you're going to be limited there if that's your goal in your weight training, is to burn body fat and burn the most calories. So again, that's going to come through our movement outside of the gym. That's going to come through our lifestyle optimization by just managing overall stress on your body, making sure we're applying the right stressors, that there's not too much of that stress, and also getting rid of some unnecessary stress on our body. And then obviously the nutrition piece is going to be super important, making sure we manage that there. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that gives you an idea of why we have weight training in our, why it's a main pillar of body recomp. Again, it's the one thing that you need to, really the only thing you can do that's going to send a signal to your body to build more muscle, which we talked about all the benefits of that. Let me know if you have any questions on that. That's it for today's episode. If you found this podcast be helpful in any way, if you could leave a rating and review, that'll help more people find this podcast. Again, I have my free body recomp checklist. So, if you like the stuff I talked about today and you want to maximize that checklist is in the show notes. If you haven't yet, give me a follow on Instagram, Jeff. That's where I'm most active on social media. And then lastly, if you need help setting up your training program, or you are ready to, maybe you're someone who has been spinning their wheels, you've been working hard, but you're just not seeing the change that you want to see, then my free 30-minute strategy calls for you. We can help troubleshoot anything that you're having issues with, and then come up with a game plan moving forward. So that's it for me. The link to that is in the show notes. That's it for me. Talk to you soon.